The fluorescent lights hum like angry bees above the emergency room, cold and unforgiving. Midnight at County General. Blood on the floor, beeping monitors, the smell of bleach fighting death. And there in the middle of it all, Dr. Aisha Reynolds stumbles against the nurse's station, both hands pressed hard into her right side. Her brown face shines with sweat. Her breath comes in short, terrified gasps. A dark red stain spreads across the front of her white coat like spilled wine. She knows exactly what it is. She's seen it 100 times in other people. Ruptured appendix, poison flooding her body right now, every second counts. She tries to stand tall, tries to keep the doctor voice strong, but the pain drops her to one knee. Page surgery, she forces out, voice cracking. Tell them it's ruptured. Tell them it's me. The charge nurse, Maria, freezes with the phone already in her hand. The other nurses look away, because walking toward them, slow and cocky, is Dr. Preston Hale himself. Tall, blonde, perfect teeth. The man who owns half the hospital wings with his family name carved in gold letters out front. He wears a $5,000 watch that costs more than most people make in a year. He flips through Aisha's chart like it's junk mail. Then he looks at her, really looks, at her skin. At the way her braids are pulled back tight from a 20-hour shift. At the tremor in her legs. A slow smirk curls on his lips. Overdose, he says, loud enough for everyone to hear. Again, let charity care deal with it. I'm not wasting more time on this. He tosses the chart onto the counter and walks away, shoes clicking like he's strolling through one of his daddy's yacht parties. Aisha's mouth opens, but no sound comes out at first, just a whisper, broken and small. I'm one of you, the words fall flat. Nobody moves, nobody picks up the phone. Maria's eyes fill with tears, but her feet stay planted. The security guard by the door looks at the floor. Aisha slides all the way down now, back against the cabinet, coat soaked dark with her own blood. Her fingers reach out, shaking, searching for anything, a scalpel tray, a pen, something to make them see she's still here, still human. But there's nothing, just the cold tile and the hum of those hateful lights. Her vision tunnels. The last thing she sees is Preston's back disappearing around the corner like she's already dead. Fade to black. 6 hours earlier. The same ER but louder. Chaos everywhere. Trauma bays full. A man is wheeled in screaming, skull cracked open from a car wreck on the interstate. Blood pours from his ear like a faucet. The paramedics shout, male 72 multimillionaire Henry Hale, ejected through windshield GCS3. Everybody knows that name, Henry Hale, the man who signs Preston's endless checks, the man whose portrait hangs in the lobby looking stern and untouchable. His brain is swelling so fast the monitors scream red. The on-call neurosurgeon is stuck in traffic 2 hours away. Nurses panic. Preston stands there in his custom scrubs, face pale, actually scared for once in his life, because this is Daddy, and Daddy might die on his watch. Then a quiet voice cuts through the noise. Move. Just one word, calm, steady. Everyone turns. It's Aisha Reynolds, the senior resident nobody really notices until they need a miracle. She's been on shift since yesterday morning, eyes red, coffee long gone cold. But her hands don't shake. She steps up, gloves already on. Give me the drill, she says. Nobody argues. They've seen her do impossible things before. She shaves a patch of Henry Hale's silver hair herself, marks the spot with a purple marker, steady as a painter. The room goes quiet except for the hiss of oxygen and the beep of the heart monitor counting down. She drills, precise, perfect. Burr hole placed exactly where the hematoma presses hardest. Dark blood shoots out under pressure, then slows. The brain relaxes. The numbers climb. Henry Hale takes a breath on his own. The monitors sing a happier song. Preston stares like he's seeing a ghost. His father's chest rises and falls because of this woman he barely knows exists. The nurses cheer quietly. Someone claps Aisha on the back. She peels off her gloves, wipes sweat from her brow, and for the first time in years allows herself to hope. She finds Preston in the hallway afterward, Henry stable in ICU, machines breathing for him now but breathing. She straightens her coat, lifts her chin. Dr. Hale, she says, voice soft but clear, your father's going to make it because we got there in time. I know there's an attending spot opening in trauma next month. I'd like to apply, officially. She offers the smallest smile, the kind that says, "I've earned this." Preston looks at her like she's speaking another language. He glances at his phone, already scrolling messages from models and bottle service clubs. "Yeah," he says, not even looking up. "Send it to HR or whatever." Then he walks away, just like that. No thank you, no acknowledgement that she just pulled his entire bloodline back from the edge of death. Aisha stands there in the empty hallway, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead again, feeling the first twist of pain low in her belly. She thinks it's stress. She thinks it'll pass. She has no idea that in 6 short hours, that same man will look at her bleeding out and decide she isn't worth saving. Because to him, some lives are numbers on a balance sheet. Some people are just background characters in rooms he owns. And Aisha Reynolds, daughter of a janitor and a housekeeper, girl who studied under streetlights when the power got cut off, the one who clawed her way to Harvard on scholarships and prayers, she's invisible until she's useful, then disposable the second she asks for what she's worth. Now she's on the floor, blood pooling, minutes ticking, and the man she saved refuses to save her back. The silence in that ER is louder than any scream because everybody sees it, everybody knows what just happened, and nobody does a thing. Her hand slips from the counter, falls limp. The pain takes over, darkness creeps in at the edges. But something shifts in the air. A young nurse, barely 22, eyes wide with tears, finally moves. She drops to her knees beside Aisha. "I'm calling it in," she whispers, fierce. "I don't care what he says." Another nurse grabs the phone. Someone shouts for a gurney. The spell starts to crack. But is it too late? Has the poison already won? We don't know yet, because respect shouldn't have to be earned with miracles. Dignity shouldn't come with a price tag. And no life, no matter how tired, how poor, how black, how forgotten, should ever be left bleeding on a hospital floor while the powerful walk away untouched. Hold that image, hold that silence, because this story isn't over, not by a long shot. The clock on the wall ticks like a dying heart. 2:17 a.m. now. Every second is fire inside Aisha's belly. She crawls on hands and knees down the dim service corridor because standing is no longer an option. Blood leaves a dark trail behind her like breadcrumbs nobody will follow. Her white coat is crimson and heavy, dragging like chains. She claws at door handles. Trauma 2, locked. Residence lounge, empty, call room. A second year opens the door, sees her face, sees the blood, and slams it shut again. The click of that lock echoes louder than gunshots. Aisha presses her forehead to the cold metal and laughs, one broken sound that turns into a sob. She keeps moving. Upstairs, soft golden light spills from the cracked door of the Hale family VIP lounge. Music, low and expensive. Champagne corks pop like tiny celebrations. Preston Hale stands in the middle in a fresh white coat, no blood on him anywhere, raising a glass to men in $5,000 suits. "Gentlemen," he says, voice smooth as the bourbon in his hand, "we're trimming the fat. Non-essential personnel, charity cases, all that dead weight. Profit margins don't lie." They laugh. They clink glasses. One investor asks about the overnight census. Preston waves a lazy hand. "Nothing we can't handle. Some people just take up space." Another laugh, louder this time. Downstairs, Aisha collapses against a supply cart. Her vision swims. A young nurse, the same one who cried earlier, rushes over and kneels. "Dr. Reynolds, please let me page somebody." Aisha grabs her wrist with slippery fingers. "Who?" she rasps. The nurse's lip trembles. She leans close, voice barely air. "He said, Dr. Hale said if anyone lays a hand on you, we're gone. No severance. He called you an uninsured liability." The words hit harder than the pain. Uninsured liability. 4 syllables that erase 12 years of school, every life she ever saved, every night she slept in this building instead of going home. Aisha lets go of the nurse's wrist. The girl runs away crying. Something inside Aisha turns to stone and fire at the same time. She uses the cart to pull herself up. One step, another. Blood drips steady now, pat, pat, pat on the linoleum. She knows these halls blind. She knows where the empty ORs hide at 3 in the morning, or 7, the one they use for training videos. Always prepped, always unlocked until the cleaning crew at 5. She shoulders the door open. The lights flicker on automatically, cold and bright like Judgment Day. She hits the button to lock it behind her. Click, alone. The room smells like plastic and antiseptic and fear. She stares at the operating table in the center, metal gleaming under the giant lamps. Her reflection in the polished steel looks like a stranger, face gray, lips purple, eyes too big. Blood has soaked through to her shoes. She laughs again, softer this time. "You won't kill me tonight," she tells the empty room. "Not like this, not for you." Her voice echoes off the walls and comes back stronger. She moves like the pain is someone else, washes her trembling hands in the sink, water running pink, finds the good IV kit, the 16-gauge needle, ties the tourniquet with her teeth. The vein in her left arm rises blue and angry. She slides the needle home on the first try, steady, always steady, and tapes it down. Fluids next, then antibiotics. She hangs the bags on the pole and opens them wide. The cold rushes in, and for one sweet second the pain backs off, just enough to breathe. Anesthesia is harder, propofol, the white miracle that puts people to sleep. She draws it up slow, watching the milk-colored liquid fill the syringe. Her hands shake now bad. She sits on the edge of the table, legs dangling like a child. Tears slip hot down her cheeks and fall onto the bloody scrubs. "Okay, Aisha," she whispers to herself. "You've done this 1,000 times, just not on you." She swabs the port with alcohol that stings her nose. One deep breath. She pushes the plunger. The world tilts gently, like a boat leaving shore. Her eyelids grow heavy, but she fights it. Not yet. She lies back. The table is ice against her skin. She pulls the big light down with her right hand, positions it over her belly. Sterile drapes, betadine, orange and burning. She paints herself in perfect squares, just like she teaches the interns. Her voice comes out calm, almost dreamy, like she's giving grand rounds to an invisible audience. 10 blade. She says it out loud, even though nobody hands it to her. She reaches to the Mayo stand, fingers closing around the handle. "Midline incision, please." The knife kisses skin. She doesn't flinch. The cut is clean, practiced. Blood wells warm. She suctions with her left hand while the right keeps moving. Peritoneum now, sharp and blunt dissection. Her voice cracks, but the words keep coming, steady, beautiful, unstoppable. Retractors next. She wedges them in with shaking fingers, opening her own body to the bright light. The smell hits her hot and sour. She gags once but swallows it down. There it is. The appendix, swollen purple, angry, already leaking. A hiss escapes her lips. "You nasty little thing." She clips, ties, cuts. Every motion perfect, every word clear. Distal stump buried with purse string. Mesoappendix ligated, specimen in the bucket. She drops the ruined organ into the metal basin. It lands with a wet plop. She stares at it like it betrayed her personally. Peritoneum washes clear with warm saline she poured herself. She closes in layers, needle driver moving smooth even as the drugs pull her deeper. The last stitch goes in. She ties the knot with one hand and teeth, just like her grandmother taught her for sewing dresses back when money was tight. She cuts the suture. Done. The clock on the wall says 4:03 a.m. She did it. She really did it. Silence floods the room. Only the hiss of oxygen and the soft beep of the monitor she hooked to her own finger. Her chest rises and falls slow under the drapes. Tears slide sideways into her ears, pooling there. She stares up at the ceiling, those big round lights blurring into halos. "Still here," she whispers to nobody and to everybody. "Still breathing." But the drugs are winning now. Her voice fades. The hand that saved a billionaire hours ago lies open and bloody on the blue drape. Fingers finally still. Somewhere far away, footsteps echo in the corridor. Voices, someone rattling the locked door, too late, or just in time, because a woman who can operate on herself with nothing but rage and training doesn't stay down easy. She's proof that dignity isn't given. It's taken one cut, one breath, one heartbeat at a time. And nobody, no billionaire, no empire, no smirk behind a champagne glass, gets to decide when a black woman's story ends. Hold that image. A queen on a cold table, stitched by her own hand, tears carving clean paths through the blood on her face. The door shakes harder now. Locks weren't made to hold forever. And neither was she. The door handle jiggles once, twice, then the heavy boot slams against metal. Bang, bang, bang. The lock gives with a crack that echoes like a gunshot through or seven. Preston Hale storms in first, security right behind him, faces twisted like they're about to drag a junkie out by her braids. They stop dead. The big overhead lights burn bright and merciless. And there she is. Dr. Aisha Reynolds, sitting straight up on the table, legs swinging slow over the edge like she's waiting for coffee. Blood crusts the edges of the perfect incision, running down her belly. Her gloved right hand still holds the needle driver, pulling the last stitch through her own skin with the calm of Sunday morning. The room smells like iron and victory. Preston's mouth opens, but nothing comes out. The security guard behind him drops his keys. They clatter loud on the tile. Aisha doesn't even look up at first. She ties the knot one-handed, cuts the suture with the tiny scissors, then finally lifts her eyes. They are red-rimmed, glassy from blood loss and propofol, but sharp enough to cut diamonds. Blood dots her cheek like war paint. McBurney's incision, she says, voice quiet but carrying to the back wall, 7 centimeters exactly. Appendix was gangrenous, perforated, free pus in the pelvis. I irrigated with 3 liters warm saline. You're welcome for the teaching moment, Dr. Hale. She says his name like she's spitting out poison. A young nurse in the doorway raises her phone with shaking hands and hits record. The little red light blinks alive. Someone gasps. Someone else whispers, Jesus. Maury footsteps thunder down the hall. Residents, nurses, even the janitor crowd the doorway, drawn by the noise. They push in slow, afraid to breathe. They've all heard rumors, but this is legend happening in real time. Preston finds his voice, but it cracks like a teenager. What the hell do you think you're doing? He steps forward, face turning purple. You broke into my OR, you stole drugs. Aisha finally turns her head all the way. The stare she gives him is so cold the room temperature drops 5 degrees. Your OR? She asks softly. Funny, I thought this was a hospital. She gestures at the open wound she just closed herself. Seems I was the only surgeon on duty tonight. Silence thick and heavy. You could hear a suture drop. She keeps going, clinical and cruel. Peritoneum closed with running 30 Vicryl. Fascial layer next, 0 PDS, simple interrupted. You'll want to remember that for boards, gentlemen. She looks past Preston now, straight at the residents pressed against each other in the doorway. Their eyes are wide, shining. They're seeing God and the devil in the same woman. One of them, a skinny black intern named Jamal, who Aisha once let stay late to practice central lines, takes a shaky step forward. He can't be more than 25, baby face under the surgical cap. Dr. Reynolds, he whispers, let me finish the skin for you. His voice breaks on her name like it's holy. Aisha studies him for a long second. The needle driver trembles in her grip now. The adrenaline is burning out, blood loss creeping in like fog. She nods once. Jamal scrubs at the wall sink in 10 seconds flat, gloves flying on, and takes the driver from her hand like it's the Olympic torch. She leans back against the table, sweat shining, but her voice stays steady. 40 nylon, vertical mattress, invert the edges so it heals pretty. Jamal's hands shake at first, then settle. He places each stitch perfect, exactly how she taught him months ago when nobody else would waste time on an intern who stutters. The room watches in total silence. Even Preston can't move. Every click of the needle driver sounds like justice. When the last knot is tied and cut, Jamal steps back, eyes wet. The other residents start clapping, slow at first, then louder until the whole doorway is thundering. Someone shouts, "That's my doctor." Phones rise like periscopes. The video is already spreading through the group chats, the overnight census forgotten. Aisha lifts her chin, blood crusted at the corners of her mouth, and looks straight at Preston. You said I was an uninsured liability, she says, every word clear and slow. Tell me again how much this liability just saved itself. Preston's face goes from red to gray. He takes one step back, heel hitting the dropped keys. The security guard won't meet his eyes anymore. Aisha slides off the table, legs barely holding her, but pride keeps her upright. Blood seeps through the fresh dressing, but she doesn't care. She walks slow, deliberate past every frozen face until she's toe-to-toe with Preston Hale. He's taller, richer, whiter, owns the building they're standing in, but right now he looks small. She leans in so only he can hear. You left me to die, she whispers. Remember that when they ask why the best surgeon you ever had doesn't work here anymore. Then louder, for the phones, for the future. Medicine isn't yours to gatekeep. It belongs to the ones willing to cut themselves open to prove it. The residents part like the Red Sea as she walks out, one hand pressed to her belly, the other raised in a weak fist. They cheer her down the hallway, a queen leaving her throne. Behind her, Preston stands in the ruined OR, surrounded by blood and awe and the smell of his own defeat. The nurse's video is already at 10,000 views and climbing. Hashtags bloom like wildfire. Dr. Reynolds, she saved herself, County General. Because power isn't the name on the building. Power is the woman who can sew her own guts back together and still have enough strength left to make the mighty tremble. Dignity isn't handed down from marble lobbies or trust funds. It's carved out with a 10-blade at 4 in the morning when nobody else will touch you. And once the world sees that kind of fire, there's no putting it out. The hallway lights flicker as Aisha keeps walking, leaving bloody footprints that spell freedom. Behind her, the old order cracks wide open, and somewhere in the distance, a new one begins. But the night isn't finished with her yet, not even close. The sun rises slow over County General, golden light spilling through the blinds like mercy nobody expected. Room 812 is quiet except for the soft beep of monitors that now sing steady and strong. Aisha Reynolds sits propped against white pillows, skin still pale from blood loss, fresh scar hidden under gauze, but her eyes burn bright as ever. The door opens without a knock. Preston Hales steps in alone, no security, no entourage, just a man in a plain shirt that costs more than rent but looks cheap on him today. His hands shake holding a single sheet of paper. His eyes stay on the floor until he reaches the foot of her bed. Then he stops. The silence stretches long enough to hurt. Aisha watches him without pity. She has an IV in one arm and power in the other. The new badge clipped to her gown reads Chief of Trauma Surgery in bold letters nobody can ignore anymore. Preston finally lifts the paper. His voice comes out cracked and small. It's my resignation. The board voted at 6 this morning. Unanimous. Surgical privileges gone, effective immediately. He tries to hand it over, but his fingers won't let go at first. Aisha doesn't reach for it yet. She just looks at him, lets him feel the weight of what he's carrying. Outside the window, the city wakes up to a new headline on every phone. Doctor performs surgery on herself after being denied care. Dr. Reynolds sits at the top of every trend list, millions of views, millions of shares, people crying in comment sections, people marching outside the hospital with signs that say her name is Dr. Aisha. Inside this room, though, it's just two people and the truth. Preston swallows hard. I almost killed you, he whispers, because I didn't see you. His voice breaks on the last word like glass. Aisha leans forward a little, wincing at the pull in her belly, but her gaze never wavers. You didn't see a doctor, she says, calm and cutting. You saw a black woman doubled over in pain and decided she didn't matter. That's the wound that kills most of us long before any appendix ever ruptures. The words land soft but heavy, like stones dropped in still water. Preston flinches as if each one hits skin. She finally takes the resignation letter, signs it with a pen someone left on the tray table. Her handwriting is still perfect even after everything. She hands it back. Their fingers brush for half a second and he looks like the touch burns. Then she softens just a fraction. Redeem yourself, Preston, she says, using his first name for the first time ever. Go teach what you learned in that OR at 4 in the morning. Teach them that every patient on that table is somebody's entire world. Teach them that the quiet resident you ignore might be the only one who can save your father's life, or your soul. He nods, eyes wet, and backs out of the room like he's leaving church. The door closes soft behind him. Aisha exhales, long and slow, and for the first time in days, the pain feels a little lighter. The hallway outside her room is packed. Young black faces, mostly medical students, some still in high school letterman jackets, clutching brand new acceptance letters on thick cream paper that says REYNOLDS Surgical Scholarship in raised gold lettering. They line up quiet and respectful, eyes shining with something bigger than hero worship. Hope, one girl at the front, braids and braces, holds a stethoscope like it's made of gold. When Aisha's door opens again and the nurse waves them in a few at a time, they step forward like they're walking into the future itself. Inside, residents who used to look through her now beg to scrub on her cases. The same ones who slammed doors hours ago stand at the foot of her bed asking permission to learn. Jamal, the intern who tied her last knot, sits in the corner chair taking notes while she explains wound healing to the students, voice steady and kind, the way a big sister talks when she knows you're listening with your whole life. Every word feels like scripture. Phones keep buzzing on the tray table. Messages from doctors all over the world offering jobs, partnerships, anything she wants. She ignores them for now. She's busy building something right here. A new attending schedule hangs on the wall with her name at the top in bold. The first line under it reads, "All PATINTS seen within 15 minutes of arrival, no EXCPTIONS." Under that, in her own handwriting, because nobody should ever have to operate on themselves to be believed. The afternoon sun climbs higher, painting the room gold and warm. Aisha looks out at the line of students still waiting, at the residents hanging on her every word, at the city beyond the window that finally learned her name. She touches the bandage on her belly and smiles, small but fierce. She survived the night. Now she's rewriting the morning. Because power isn't the name carved in marble over the entrance. Power isn't the private lounge with the champagne and the smirks. Real power is a woman who can cut herself open, stitch herself shut, and still have enough heart left to teach the next generation how to heal the world that tried to kill her. Never confuse silence for weakness. Never mistake exhaustion for surrender. The person you overlook today, the one you leave bleeding on the floor because you think they don't matter, might be the very one forced to save your soul tomorrow. True power isn't inherited in trust funds or handed down in corner offices. It's earned, one life saved, one injustice faced, one impossible incision made with nothing but faith and a steady hand. Aisha closes her eyes for just a moment and feels the sunlight on her face like blessing. Somewhere down the hall, a new patient is rolled in, scared and hurting. The residents jump to attention. The students watch and learn. And in room 812, the new chief of trauma takes a slow, deep breath, ready to get back to work. Because some people don't just survive the fire. They come out shining, showing everybody else the way through. And once you've seen that kind of light, you never walk in darkness again.